you so much for joining me on this Saturday morning. It's kind of gloomy lately. Hopefully we get to some warmer weather and some bright sunshine. But in the meantime, let's enjoy this kind of gloomy weather. My name is Untitled Music, and I'm a Founders X member. I'm a second year, and I'm also the social media manager for the gallery. So again, thank you so much for joining me. And just to be have you be all aware, the webinar is recorded, so we can upload the video later for those who could not attend. Okay, if you have any questions, then please feel free to enter those questions in the chat box, or you can reserve them later at the end of the Q&A session. And just a little bit about Finance X. We are a artist-run cooperative gallery. We are for-profit, based in North Texas. We have an extremely long history. We're in a 42nd season. We're considering thinking about becoming nonprofit, but the process is quite tedious to get to that nonprofit status. So at this point, we're gonna call for-profit. And yes, this is our first year in our in West Dallas. We literally had 41 seasons in our Fair Park location, which was a much bigger space. Used to have tenants occupying the space, and we just moved our location to West Dallas during COVID last year. We're typically open Saturdays and Sundays only. The reason why is that because most of us are working on the weekdays, since we're the artist run, and a lot of us have weekday jobs, so we are currently opening Saturday and Sunday. But sometimes we take requests from visitors if they make an appointment to come in on the weekday. So everybody have equal voting rights. There's no one in the collective has like more voting rights just because you're the president or your officer position like me, social media manager, has more voting rights than the other. So it'd be just a regular member, and everyone has the same rights. And since we are a collective. So let's show some pictures of the space. And this is our main gallery space. And you can see here on the X and kind of look at the very back, you see kind of that exits with the blue tape. So behind those doors are just artist studios. And on the one with the black curtain, that's where we keep our supplies. And the door to your left with the paper covering in the front, that's the restroom. And here's some project spaces we did. In the project space, we have a very small space, and this was just from our recent exhibitions. To the left, we have Jolisa Davidson, and to the right, we have Guadalupe Sanchez. So some of the programming we do is we have solo exhibitions by the members, and we also have a member shows. A member show is kind of like, all the members show at one time. So it's like a group show. So it's kind of usually in the beginning of the season. So our season starts in the fall, which is gonna be fall this year, and go all the way to spring. So we usually have like a member show to kind of introduce like what the collective is at that point in time. We have Expo and College Expo. Expo and College Expo, they're open calls. Expo just for any artists based in Texas. College Expos for anyone currently studying in the higher education institution. Hot and Sweaty. Hot and Sweaty is one like free for all. As long as we have the gallery space, we accept all the artwork we can take in. So it's kind of like one exhibition where it's not curated, not juried. Everyone could just put art on our walls and we'll have a hot show. That's usually based in the summer. So we have some thematic shows. We have Black Voices, LGBTQIA+. We didn't do the adjunct faculty show this season, but previously we have done that. Other shows we did is Like we had you like a professor, and you had a student, and we kind of have show where we kind of pair the professor and the student kind of like in these different groupings. But I don't think we're gonna do those kind of a professor adjunct faculty shows in the future. And we rarely do invitational shows like Byron Tang curated by Sierra L. Bryant. We have G.A. Han and Uni Lee, which I'll show in the in the next slides. We rarely do invitational shows, but sometimes we take it if we have like a spot or two open, but that's really rare. So here's some programming we did this year. I unfortunately did not have a lot of photos because we just moved to the space and would not make too much sense to show some of the art we did in the Fair Park location. But this is from Ji Han and Uni Lee. So this is kind of invitational show in our main gallery space. And I would say a lot of our if for example, if you're going to be a member, I think a lot of the vibe or the aesthetic is kind of like experimental in a way, but I think it's okay if your works kind of fall within that more commercial pieces, like maybe like a painting or drawing. But I think people join our gallery and or just like just a exhibit in our space, I think people feel inspired by the space, considering it's like kind of like in a warehouse, and they don't feel pressured to make these kind of shows that they have to sell something. And this is show by Casey Short. He's also a Founder X member. So he thought about the space in terms of kind of like a concert set almost. So he had this like 2 channel videos, and then when he also had a performance right there to kind of activate the space. So I think I just want to explain the vibe or the aesthetic of Founded X. I mean, you don't have to be an experimental or immersive artist to apply, but I think people just feel like they want to just take the space, make it their own, and not feel pressured to always sell something, to make a more commercial pieces. And this is for Sierra L. Bryant in our project space. This was also a good shot to show what our project space looks like. And previously in the Fair Park location, we have several of these project spaces where the Founder X member will collaborate with an outside artist. But it didn't make too much sense this year once we moved into the Fabrication Street location. So we invited all BIPOC artists to the space for this project space. So each member invited an outside BIPOC artist to show. So what are your some of the benefits for joining Founder X? You have an annual solo exhibition, you have an annual project space to curate, and you get some experience working in a commercial gallery, and you have some networking, you have community. I think for me, at least, the reason why I joined Founder X Gallery, because I personally didn't study art during my undergrad. I studied biology, and I didn't really have that when you kind of in that art degree art school, you have those connections right off the bat. And I personally didn't. I have all this work. I'm like, what I could do with all this work? And I was like, I don't have any shows lined up. When you're just starting out in this career, you don't have that. You don't have kind of the springboard. But also I think for also some of the people that currently in our collective, they have a lot of a very strong CV. They have a lot of shows already. But I think the other artists that are much more experienced, they simply just want to build a community, build relationships, maybe take the space and not make and just really make something more experimental. So I think there's some of the benefits that you'll get working, being a member here and working for us. I personally did meet a lot of people that I wouldn't have met through the gallery, and it was a truly transformative experience. To talk about some of my membership duties. So we pay monthly dues, $50 per each person each month. And this is just to pay for the rent, pay for electricity, Wi-Fi. We have had attendance in monthly members meetings. When we had before pre-COVID, we had a lot of these monthly meetings, but as of now, we don't do them as much. We just do them virtually. And with gallery receptions, we of course it's a very strange time, so it's we do like either virtual reception, or we kind of leave it up to the members to kind of program how they want. For the receptions, we might have like an artist talk, or we might have like a more staggered, or like what's more staggered reception with like 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. that kind of thing, just to don't have as many people coming to the space. We do also, for some of the duties we also do is that we maintain the gallery with patching. We take down and put up artwork, usually from our jewelry shows. If you're just having a solo show, that's all in your responsibility. So you'll be the one. The show, when you come to the space to install for your solo show, then the space should already been patched up by the previous person. So you just come in, but once you're done with the show, you just kind of clean the space and make sure that it's ready for the next person. Open closing gallery. I mean, we gallery sit like usually each person gallery sit once a month. Sometimes, yeah, that really is how much we gallery sit. So it's not too much of a responsibility. And we did some exhibition planning and installation as well. So here's some of the roles that we have for us. We have the president, vice president, social media manager, historian, secretary. You have the special exhibition teams. You have PR, website manager. I think the roles are kind of merging in a little bit with this year, because when we moved from Fair Park last year to the new location, we lost half of our membership, but because especially during COVID, this is a really uncertain time. So a lot of the roles here might not right now. It's kind of like everyone takes a little bit of each from each other. But I think with this coming season, we're taking in more people, and it'll be much more defined. So how many people are accepting? We're accepting at least 4 people. Right now we have 8 members. A lot of us staying, some are leaving, but we want to, from the 8 we had for this season, it was a kind of a struggle. It kind of struggle to maintain the space and do everything, but since we're adding 4 plus new members to this season. So we're going to talk about the application timeline. The deadline is May 8th, so we don't have too much time. That'll be next Saturday, and we'll come after we got the applications. All the members come together for a virtual meeting. We kind of just talk about our selections. Why do we want this artist in there? Who should we pick? And we kind of let the artist know by May 24th. And accepted members can start membership June of this month, June of this year. Oh yeah, just to say it again, deadline is May 8th. So does anyone have questions about anything that I just talked about? You can feel free to talk in the chat or just unmute yourself. I think one of the questions we get is like, do you offer studio space when you're a member? No, we do not offer any studio spaces you're a member. Eligibility wise, we do not really have any parameters for that. I would say like at least be at least you graduate from undergrad. I think we also in the past we have accepted graduate students while they're still in school, and I think that it can be difficult to do school and also be a member. So, and also one of the things I would like to bring up is location logistics. It's totally fine if you're out of Dallas. Like we have some people for work, some people then. But just think about the drive. Just think about the drive. Think about, is this something? Oh, we have something in the chat. Oh, okay. Okay. Hi, Natalie. I see your question. Do you have your Dallas resident? No, that like I just said. Um, no, but I think you have to be careful. Yeah, think about the logistics, driving. Right now because of COVID, we have appointment system for gallery sitting. So you might have like sometimes one person come to the space to visit that day, but sometimes there'll be like a full day from 12 to 5, but sometimes you may have just a 1 p.m. slot. So think about that as well when you're driving up to the gallery to open the space for them. But we put down a schedule like who's coming in for gallery sitting, so you know what day you're coming in. If there isn't anyone on the appointment system, that's fine. You don't have to show up to open the space. Also another question from Natalie. Does every member serve manager role? No, because yeah, not everyone serve a manager role, right? Yeah, that's totally if you don't not serve a man like a officer role or manager role, that's okay. I mean, you're just gonna do the regular tasks as gallery sitting, installing, deinstalling. I personally do not go up to the space as and install as much for the jewelry shows like Expo, College Expo, those kind of shows that doesn't for outside people that's not in a membership, because I do more the clerical work as a social media manager. Marianne said, "How much time on average for gallery sitting?" Um, I think we kind of just touched base on that a little bit earlier. With depends on the appointments we get. Yeah, depends on the appointments you get for that day. Sometimes you don't have appointments. Sometimes you do just for 1 hour. Sometimes you have the whole 5 hours. So really up in the air. I think this appointment system is better than pre-COVID because we literally sit there at the gallery 12 to 5 p.m. and not knowing who's gonna come in. So I kind of like this new appointment system where some days, luck of the draw, you don't have to come in. Another question from Natalie. What if you work on weekend? I think we can sort of something out. I think you might. I think maybe you might be something like a more clerical work like I do. I mean, though I don't work on the weekends. I don't. I still come on for gallery sitting, and I think we should talk about it. I think we're gonna do a case by case scenario on what for people who couldn't come on the weekends. Marianne said, with with COVID after COVID would still be appointment based. I'm certain. I'm uncertain how long COVID will be. I'm assuming it'll be um ever present like the flu. So I think maybe next year we might not do appointment based with the whole vaccination thing being more accessible. So I think this year we might still do more appointments. Um, Marian also said, I think more people will come if they don't have to make appointments. Based on past experiences pre-COVID at our old location, we we do not sometimes we don't always get guests coming in on even though we don't have appointments. So I know it's kind of like that was kind of like an extra barrier to do, but yeah. Is there any other questions? Well, okay, y'all. Well, thank you so much for joining me this. Oh, who comes primarily? I have another question. Um, I think that I think that's a good question. Who comes in primarily? I think that's anybody really in within the Dallas art community. I I think a lot of the people that come in are definitely, let's say, your friends, your peers, your colleagues that they know that you have a show up, or just the people. There'll be also regulars, that does the gallery tours every once a month or something, seeing all the shows in Dallas, and they'll come and see the space. So I think that'll be that'll be the people who are coming in. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and conclude this webinar. Thank you so much again for joining me, and hope to see your applications. Again, it's due on the 8th, and I greatly appreciate it. Have a fabulous Saturday, and hope to see you around. Thank you so much.